back to the beginning. This thing is not easy. And nothing in your life outside of being through something before and knowing you can get through it helps you prepare for a monumental challenge of this. It's going to hurt just the same. Okay, what up, y'all? Ron Raphael coming to you once again from one of my favorite places in the world, the lab, which I'm soon to leave. You know what? I was going to start talking to you guys. I got some things to do. I got to break down the table. It's all symbolic. One of my table, the table that I got for the living room, I had to get from China. Not that I was some big import or anything like that. It's just that it couldn't be found in this market. So I had to go find it where it was and bring it over here. I'm going to break that down. But I'm also going to break down my progress since you last saw me. The fledgling little bird that was sitting in the nest deciding to get the hell out of Los Angeles, even though I'm a grown man and it was a grown man's decision. In the beginning of anything, you're still a fledgling, and very much so I was that. You know what I mean? And but before we do that, I noticed I'm looking out my window here. The sun has risen, and it's a beautiful day in Southern California in August, late August. It's around 80 degrees, 80 to 90 degrees on a daily basis. So before it gets really hot, I figure I do something that is really good for the soul, connect with nature. And I do that in the mornings as much as I can. I haven't been doing it lately, but now that I'm feeling like myself again, the old feeling is starting to come to me. Get up, get out, go see nature. So let's go over to the park for just a minute. We have a brief little talk and we'll come on back and I'll get into the details because I think it's important for people to know, the people that are listening. And I'm noticing that for the very first time in my career, being a mouthpiece, that people are listening to the tunes of thousands. It's amazing. I'm officially a YouTuber. But anyway, let me calm down before I get going. Let's go chill. Let's vitalize what God is supposed to be within us so we can do what we need to do for the rest of the day. All right, in a minute, the park. I know you're thinking, Ron, where's the hat? Where's the hat? It ain't going nowhere. It's right here, my man. All right? Don't trip. It's on and ready for the park. All right, in a minute. Y'all know what it is, man. Life without music is unfulfilling. Get it at the park. One of my morning regimens that I've neglected for some time, which is to eat, pray, work out, read, and if I have time to do it in a natural setting, connect with nature at the same time. So this is where I'm at, man, right before we sit down and talk. And this part is just to chill and to get connected with you and to share some of my personal accomplishments over the last few weeks. The guy you see here is not the same guy 3-4 weeks ago that decided decided to move to Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, right? It wasn't until a week into it or so that it became real. Back, man, at the lab. You know, the place where it goes down. Now I got to shift gears and get into what I'm supposed to be doing, which is my job of becoming a traveler that is on YouTube. And I'm appreciating the new venture so much. For the first time ever, man, it's the craziest thing. That first time ever in my life that I'm removed from the matrix. I know you hear this term. Oh, let me make a change over here. I know the cap, man. That's my other persona. Let me put on the one that's conducive for business. You know what I mean? People might think who the hell he is. Thinks he's a superstar. Why is he always? But anyway. Okay, this is my general persona. You always got a cap. I know you're wondering, am I ashamed of my head? No, I'm not. In fact, I kind of like my almond-shaped head. It's just it's the fact that it is extremely sensitive. When it's hot, the sun beats on it. When it's cold, I can feel it. I'm not one of those guys. I don't know how they do it. walk around with their head exposed. To me, this is skin. It has nerves, even my neck. So you'll find me with these things wrapped around my neck. I'm not trying to be the man. It's just adapted from me just wrapping some stuff, a t-shirt around my neck and cutting up my basketball gear and putting it around my neck to finally getting what has been designed for that, which is a scarf. So that's why you see me with these things. There are practical reasons why I wear this stuff. And then after a while, you make it look good. I mean, who wants to look bad? But anyhow, I digress all the time. That's part of listening to me. So we're back at the lab, right? And there's some things we got to take care of. But for the first time, I am detached from the matrix. Let me tell you how and why. For the month of July was my birthday month. And because I've worked almost 60 hours a week for the first quarter to 5 months of the year, because there was an opportunity, I took it. I mean, I was doing security work and on an executive level, so I took an assignment that lasted, right? So anyhow, when July came around, I said, I've earned it. I'm going to take time off. It turned into a month, which was okay with me. I was prepared for that. But then the decision, because of that month, the decision to move to Nairobi is funny. Once you remove yourself from the matrix, you start from the society, from the rat race, from the hamster wheels, what they call it a lot. When you remove yourself from that, a whole new world opens up to you. And you're going to ignore it, or you're literally going to be one of the dumbest, obtuse people on the planet to not realize what's happening to you. You are now starting to become who you're supposed to be. You're not someone's work slave. You don't go to college to get a job, to then finally get into debt, to work all your life to pay off this college debt and then get into more debt and literally work to pay bills. That's not what we're made for, man. I implore you to even consider it just slightly. So the month of July afforded me this type of reserve and contemplation. And when August started, I said, you know what? I'm getting out of here. I'm going to leave maybe October. When I looked at it, I said, I'll have to go back to work. I'm not going back to work so that I can pay another 2-3 months worth of Americans' bills here before I leave. I said, no, I'm going to reduce my liability by 2 months. And I'm not going to tell you how much a month is for a grown man that's living by himself with a car note, apartment, and all the other things that go along with it. If you can do that, it takes at least $5,000 to $6,000 a month to maintain an adult in that way. So anyway, do I work this month or next month just to pay these bills? Hell no. I decided based on a number of metrics, that one specifically, that no, I'm going to move within a month. Turns out that month was a space that I may have worked, but it turned out it didn't even make sense to work. There was so much to do. My job was getting out of here 24/7. So 1 month turned into 2 months, and I've never felt this feeling in my entire life where, yes, I may have had the opportunity to take off, but always thinking I got to get back to work sooner or later. I have to make some money. I have to rejoin the matrix at some point. Today, I don't feel that way. The man, as I said before, that started this journey a month ago is no longer the same person. I was a wreck in the beginning, verifiably, because it had so many things in my path to surmount. But I've gotten to a point where I've gotten some of these things under hat, so to speak. And it's time to talk to you about some of the details. So enough about the mind space and what something like this does to an individual. And let's talk a little bit about the details of it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's why some of the people started watching. And thank you guys, all of you who have been watching. I don't know if YouTubers are supposed to do this or if they understand what happens when this has happened, which is people are watching me. And it just came by innocently. I didn't want to build a channel on capitalizing on a trend. But it turns out, after talking to someone really smart, that it is trending. People, black Americans in particular, men, women, families, are all getting together in other places in Africa. We are leaving this place in droves. So I see why people are watching me. Attraction that I've never gotten before. And that is my last story. So there are a few stories along the way. But before I get to those stories, stand by for just a second. Let me go reduce the thing that makes me feel so good all day long to its minimum. I got background music playing. You might not be hearing it, but I don't want to be distracted. Back in the lab scenario. Okay, so yeah, but first, before anything happens, I'm going to bring you along with one of the key stories of this, which is working with the shipper to get my things to Nairobi, Kenya, which is literally from California halfway around the world, depending on what angle you take if you're going to travel. But if you're going to go straight across the roundest part of the North American continent, then across the Atlantic, and then over to Europe and down again, where I'm going is on the east side of Africa, kind of mid to southeast portion of it. So yes, it is halfway around the world. So much so that the time frame there is 12 hours ahead of me, and with 2 hours subtracted. I figured it out. So if it's 1 o'clock here or 12 noon here, it is 10 p.m. in Nairobi, Kenya, that night of the same day, because obviously the sun travels from east to west and day starts in other places before it gets to California, right? So their daytime is happening at earlier than our daytime. But anyway, people get caught up in that all the time. So one of the first things I had to do this morning is contact the shipping company. I'll get in my notes and I'll contact them right now as we're on this line. And then I'll get into whatever particulars of this story may be important. But it is very important for me to reach out, because why? I'm going to tell you, it was a big thing, man. But I want to make sure that my palette of all of my belongings, personal effects, computer, cosmetology equipment, clothing, has made it to the dock in Texas of a company called Kentex. And I'll tell you about them in a moment. It hasn't been all good, even though some of it is good, but most of it has been kind of crazy working with them. But anyway, I have to make sure that my pallet makes the ship on Friday the 29th. They ship out once a month from the port of Texas, and they transport goods to Nairobi, Kenya. It's a specific company that does this at a fraction of the cost. And that's why I'm using them. Didn't I tell you there's good stuff that you're going to need to know? That is one of them in particular. So anyhow, let me call the company that is supposed to be transferring my stuff there, who has literally been a nightmare to work with. So anyway, to give you to what's going on with this part of the story, right? Shipping your stuff to Kenya can cost a whole lot of money. If you're just moving with, 2 suitcases, a carry-on, and a backpack and a pillow or something like that, you're good. But if you're relocating it and you have things of value and you have a family, it can get very, very expensive. That being said, there's an option. There's a company from Kenya, and people that have been through this so many times, they got fed up with how much it cost and how much they charge us to get over there. They really just kill us unnecessarily. So they started their own shipping company specific for Kenyan people and people visiting Kenya. The company is called Kentex, Kenya, Kentex. And their whole motto and their whole purpose of doing what they're doing is to reduce costs by at least 10 times the amount. So cool, things that I would not have taken or thrown out or decided to buy over there, I said, doesn't make sense. I can now take it with me. The cost would be a lot cheaper. But here's the problem, communicating with Africa. You can't call a number on your phone because they don't accept it, we're not connected in that way. But there is one way to communicate with Africa and the rest of the world and reduce cost to almost nothing outside of what you have for your carrier. And it's an app called WhatsApp. So Africa and all the business being done between us and them on a daily basis is through this app. So I get on this app. It's referred to me by the person that's handling me, my liaison. And I'll go backwards in just a moment. We just started on freight, so I'm just give you the freight story. So the liaison I'm working with says, Ron, there is an option for shipping your stuff. Let me give you the name of this company that works here. Good. I talked to them. My liaison, shout out to you, my man, Adrian Petrus. I'm not knowing if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I believe it's a Portuguese name. He's from Seychelles. He's born on the islands off the coast of Africa, the East Coast. And from what I hear, it is a beautiful place, very expensive, but at some point we'll all go. But anyhow, he has been to me what I have told others and felt from the moment I start speaking with him, a golden child. And there's proof to back that up now that I've gotten to know him. And that's at the end. So when back to the freight. With the freight, let me get this off my air. With the freight, so anyway, I contact the company and they say, okay, well, give me an estimation of how much and where do we pick it up from your dock. I said, I'm not a dock. I'm a personal residence. You have to understand, if you're dealing with a shipping company, they're used to showing up to a dock and picking up freight. So you have to tell them it's a resident. So it's a residence. I told them several times, but no matter what I told them, they did not register that in the paperwork. So anyway, an 18-wheeler semi showed up to my home in Inglewood, California, my block. Let's move on so I can get through the meat and the bones. But that was a perfect example of the type of thing you're going to have to surmount and experience if you decide to do this. It's not all fun and games, but you get stronger, you get better. And guess what? After this, I'll be able to help you if you're not, whatever you're getting from this. So moving on. So that's just the shipping portion of the storyline, right? My goodness, I'll call them in a little bit. And if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. I can't make them get it there. And for some reason, they won't expedite the scenario. And everybody's stupid. No matter what, I'm always starting from point one again. You know, every call. So anyway, let's hope what we've been doing has ignited some fire under someone's butt. Maybe, I doubt it. And the result is my product or my parcel being expedited so they can make the shipment. So that's just one of the things I had to handle. Back to the beginning so we can refresh everything. The beginning is what you saw last, which is, it says Nairobi plan on my last thumbnail for my last offering to you live. And I looked at that thing, right? And I'm looking at the fledgling gentleman who's starting this off. And I was lost and scared and all this other stuff. Not scared, but you know, that kind of describes it for lack of a better word. And uninformed and without a coach. I knew I had to find someone who knew what they was doing. Kind of like what I'm doing for you now after I've been through it. I'm not doing it purposefully, but hey, why not impart? So anyway, I had trouble reaching the people that I dubbed the service that I wanted to go through, which was a YouTuber named Austin Holloman. Look him up. He's a young dude, half my age, probably 2 generations behind, but a very, very focused young man, and he's good at what he does. And he's just being him. So I appreciate you, Austin Holman. And he does have a website. It's called austinholman.com, where you can go check things out yourself. And if you want to work with them, they said it's fine for me to give the name, and you'll be working through Adrian Petrus. Once again, I'm shouting you out. So this is who I've found. But the first part, how you get to them, just so you know, you're going to book an appointment, right? And they have, once again, an outsourced service there for customer service. So you're not going to talk to, let's say, the guy who you want to talk to. He redirects you to a Kenyan that you pay somebody about $30 for half an hour. That's their hustle. They want to talk. I didn't want to talk. They wanted to find out if I had questions. I get it. Some people call, they want to talk. I had already decided and done a whole lot of visual research and a bunch of stuff where I didn't want to talk. I needed the plan of execution. It took me 3 calls, a frustrating 3 calls. Well, 1 call where I literally had to tell him his business. Then he had to try to tell me, you know, Americans come here and they're kind of disrespectful. And I said, listen, young man, This is not about respect or disrespect. This is about you not listening. This is about sales. I'm asking you for one thing and you keep asking me to do something else. You have any questions? No. My only and one question I had for him was this. What are your services for getting someone over to the other side? Then he would ask me again, so what are your questions? If I could have reached through the phone and choked this motherfucker, I would have. So anyway, I regrouped because I couldn't find anyone else and I knew this was the path to the person I needed. So instead of calling and talking, I emailed this person. I said, look, I need to get the value of what I paid for. All right. And I don't want to talk with you. I don't want to talk with the main guy. I don't even want to talk with Michael Jackson if he was alive. I could care less. Conversation is cheap to me at this point. I don't need to talk. What I need is to know what are your list of services. So he said, let me direct you to Adrian. That's who I needed in the beginning. But he wanted to justify his half an hour and his money that he earned. That call with him could have taken 3 minutes, even though I paid for half an hour. And I wouldn't have been bothered by it because it would have led me to who I wanted to be talking to. As it turned out, now I'm talking to Adrian. He starts giving me the rundown of what's going on, what I'm supposed to do, the cost for setting up a PIN, business PIN, then registering myself as a business will cost somewhere around $1,200. Great. In my lack of knowledge, my ignorance, I assumed that this encompassed my whole travel, the visa, and everything else. So fast forward 3 weeks into it, I'm checking out my flight schedule and noticing it said I had some documents to fill out. So I said, what do they mean? I paid for the ticket. I have my, passport. Everything is cool. As it turns out, I didn't have a visa, not through his process. That has to be done individually by you through the airline service that then connects you to the country you're going to. Let's say it's Kenya, for example. And that website and inside, the hell is all that noise? Man, I got some noisy ass neighbors. I can't wait to get the hell out of here. Well, anyway, in that process, I had to fill out a number of papers and so on and so forth. Give me just a moment so I can close. I got to close. This is real life here. Give me just a moment. Be right back. So I realized as I'm going through this is a visa. I could have shown up to the airport without a visa and been turned away. After all of this, it would have broken my heart. I'm sure I would have found a way to get the visa done, but it would have taken maybe another day or two. So anyway, it redirects me to a Kenyan site. They want to know everything. They want to know how long you're going to stay, where you're staying, what's your purpose there. And in order to get the visa, you literally have to have a place of residence already paid for. So if you're staying at a hotel, you have to contact that hotel, pay for your stay, and then reverse the scenario because the hotel then gives you something that you can plug it into the site. So all of this stuff. And is encompassed with this. Now you have two choices of visas. You have one that's a 90-day visa. That's somewhere around $78, less than $100. And then you have a 5-year visa that's approximately $386. Obviously, if you're not staying past 90 days, if you're there for 10, 15 days, most people stay a month when they travel that far. And sometimes if they have the means, they stay longer. So thus the problem that I'm going to explain to you. The 90-day visa will expire at some point, right? And if you can make money, let's say you're a digital nomad, you work on a computer and your boss allows you to travel. And when you do travel, you can work, for example, you decide to stay. The 90-day visa has to be renewed, but currently they're not renewing them. So be aware of the 90-day visa if you want to stay longer. It's problems with it. So anyway, my option, of course, was the 5-year visa, $386. And it took approximately 3 to 4 days. But I could have missed the deadline. It's a 7-day process if it goes the length of that period of time. And if I didn't realize it where I did week 3 into this thing, that I'm missing this visa, I would have been without a visa getting on the plane. So get your visa along with your plane ticket and do everything at the same exact time. No matter if you're doing business and you're doing other stuff. Those two things do not connect, as I found out. The only time it makes sense is that after I'm registered and in the country, because I'm registered as a business, which takes a minute or two, 7 days, I believe. After that point, if I'm conducting business, then I don't have to worry about the visa stay or that period of time, because the country obviously understands he's here doing business, he's contributing to the economy, he's not here just hanging out as a tourist. They send tourists back. You got to go back if you're a tourist. They don't want you just hanging out forever. Thus, the 90-day visa or the 5-year visa ending at some point. The other way you could stay indefinitely in Kenya is to become a national, and that takes some time. It's very an arduous process. Or you can basically marry a Kenyan person, you know, and they don't play that funny-duddy stuff out there. So if you're a man, you got to find a woman, and if you're a woman, you got to find a man. There's nothing in between over there, okay? Just putting that out there for you guys who's thinking about it. They don't play that. The other thing they don't play, as a side note, is smoking weed. They don't smoke weed in that country, and they'll lock you up for a granule of the stuff. Okay, I know we're in California. I may not go. It wasn't a deterrent. Actually, for me, it might be a blessing in disguise. So, there's times I do, times I don't. I'm just going to be real. And especially when I have things to do, I don't. But before I go, I just might. Just one last time. You know what I mean? But so much stuff to do that it doesn't even make sense. So back to the storyline and what's going on here. So the visa's out. So now I get this visa out the way. And process of paying these people, obviously, when you get ready to send X amount, whatever it might be, across the world to Africa, a big red flag goes off, not just for you, but for all the companies that have been in the middle of fraudulent activity. Africa is trying to pimp you. And there are many fraudulent people in Africa that now have access to digital work. In fact, Kenya is one of the leading tech companies in Africa, period. They're strong in agriculture, and they are the Silicon Valley of their region in Africa. Believe it or not, they're really good at that stuff. So anyway, we know that they have that type of capability. And no, the country isn't a bunch of, there are many provinces that are poor. The majority of the country, sure, the cost of living is down, but there are thriving cities and educated people that move throughout the world that understand what's going on there. And there are people that are not so well to do, but have access to computers, WhatsApp, TikTok, what's the other one? Instagram, and all these other places to try to pull money out of your pocket fraudulently. So I'm about to pay this guy, and I go, you know what? I got to make sure this is real. I'm sorry, Adrian, but he understood. And that's what someone in that position would say. I completely understand. What can I do to help you get over this particular obstacle? I said, I need to talk to the main guy who's running the channel. He said, okay, no problem. I set up a call with him. So he did. I talked to him. Also, he said, by the way, Ron, I'm actually on his site. I didn't know that either. He said, if you scroll down, you'll see my picture along with the team and people that work along with him. For me, it was enough after all of that to begin to send money from my PIN number and all this other stuff. So I sent. Turns out that PayPal, even though it went through successfully, wouldn't allow them to get the money. They said, we don't know what's going on. We don't know who you are. They're a law firm. And the person I'm talking to is a paralegal. They would not release the money to them. It was going to take, at the end of it, 180 days, damn near 6 months for them to get this money from PayPal. So they said, Ron, we may have to do something else. I said, I don't know, but you got to send me my money back. First time it went through. The second attempt, when I, paid them, because we had to try to figure this out, that's when this problem happened. They could not send the money back. So they couldn't draw the money out. And at this very same time, they could not send it back. So my money is sitting with them. I'm going, I don't know what to do. You guys have it. PayPal won't pay you, but I don't have an indefinite amount of stipends to double up and triple up to pay you to then eventually, this is literally not my problem. You know what he did? He went into his own pocket and paid for one of the initial fees. It started to shape up. This person started to become, in my mind, the real deal. And I'm really good at judging character. I have no problem with telling you a piece of shit if it comes up, or if you think, or if you approach me, or if you challenge me, or if we're in competition together. But at the very same time, I have no problem understanding, discovering, and giving praise to talent. This young man, to me, stood out, and it played out through And I'll tell you more at the end about this Adrian Petrus, and, referred by the HomeInAustin.com site. I'm giving him big up again. So anyhow, so that was the fledgling part. That was when, at the end of the last video, I was in the process of trying to connect. I connected. Things start rolling. The confidence build. And he turned out to be a wealth of knowledge. Accessible 24/7. I couldn't believe it. Because I wanted to adhere to their time frame. Because if you care about people, you care about when they sleep, right? And I did. I cared about this guy. I said, listen, after a minute, I know it's 1, 2 o'clock in your time, man. Go to sleep. He said, don't worry about me, man. I'm good, is what he told me. I think Kenyans stay up late like New Yorkers, and they party hella late. They don't leave out to the club till 12, 1 o'clock, and they don't come home till damn near 4 or 5 in the morning before sunrise. They party like hell. But, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. Don't sleep till noon. If you stay out till 5, 6 in the morning, you still got work to do. And he's one of those. Always available, always accessible. So the plans start rolling along and things start happening. Okay, that's just that alone. I've only covered the freight, hooking up with a liaison. Things that I can tell you that if you follow this process, it'll help leapfrog you. You'll still have problems and concerns, but it'll help leapfrog you. Back to problems and concerns for a minute. Back to the beginning. This thing is not easy. And nothing in your life outside of being through something before and knowing you can get through it helps you prepare for a monumental challenge of this. It's going to hurt just the same. It's not going to be any easier because you've done a bunch of stuff before in life and you're some accomplished person, blah, blah, blah. No, the pain is the same. It's just like, hitting a new milestone or plateau and working out. If you want to double the size of your muscle, it's just as hard. It's twice as hard as it was getting to where you got to now. It's not because you're in shape it's going to be easy. No, it is still going to be hard. And that's what this process was. It is going to hone and shape you into someone new, as I said before. So now I'm dealing with him and I say to him, I said, hey, I didn't know I needed a visa, man. Maybe it's something you can share with future clients, because I thought the PIN process and the money I was paying for that did. He said, no, it turned out we had to pay another $300 some odd for the visa. Then for the lodging, because you can't get the visa without the lodging, 10-day lodging at a reasonable amount, 10 times $50 a month is $50 a night is $500. So I got a room at a place that's really cool. I told him, man, I'm modest. I don't need nothing big. I come from meager beginnings. In fact, in Trinidad, the first house that I experienced as a child in Trinidad was a dirt floor until we put down terrazzo, which is that marbled floor. My uncles were terrazzo layers. They came over and hooked the house up. And then there was an outhouse too. We had a bathroom. So I told him, I said, look, I'm not some uppity American and has never, lived in that way. I understand. In fact, I know where I'm going, and I understand completely what life can be like in a first world country. I never refer to our countries as third world, just so you know, it's not a mistake. First world. It is the first world, the first civilizations, so on and so forth, right? I don't want to get into that. So first world countries, I've been there and I've lived the life. One of the reasons I'm going back is because I want to live like that again, very close to nature. So he got me a place. He said, okay, I found a place. It was $30-something, $38. But it was really cool, and it was in a regular space. It was in a neighborhood. It was Airbnb. It wasn't in some hotel or something like that. It was literally in a nice apartment in a regular neighborhood in Nairobi, which is what I wanted. Okay, so it got everything that's in there that I'm supposed to need and whatnot. It's got a little balcony. Can look over out, to other apartments and so forth. It's cool, but the cost was $38 a night. Now, before I get my own place, I have to have some place to stay. I have to be taken around to see what I'm going to get into, right? That $38 times 10 nights is what is estimated it might take for me to find my place and get everything situated. It's $380. So visa, $380, place to stay, $380, your ticket, blah, 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 is adding up, is what I'm trying to say to you. So anyway, we're going to find some places, then they're going to take me on a tour to figure out where I'm going to go. Now, living there is really cool. It's not like here where you got to sign a lease. Of course, you can find month to month, but most places are going to lock you in for a lease. The west side of Africa is like that. Nigeria and Ghana and some places like that, you have to sign a yearly lease. But in Nairobi, Kenya in particular, that's not how they do it. You can get into an apartment with first month's rent. They accept it all the time, and that's how they do business. So when I find a place, I can give them the first month's rent, which should be anywhere between $400 and $600, and then I'll have my place to stay. So that's the scenario with the place to stay. Am I giving you too much? Should I stop? Should I go on? I don't know. You let me know. Selling all my stuff, it took this process: eBay, Facebook, Marketplace, friends and family. And with a week left, I still have a lot of this stuff left, right? So anyway, not most of it, but a lot of it. And my chest of drawers, no one came for that. I know a few people inquired. My bed, it's a custom wood bed type of thing, platform bed for a queen size, a little bit bigger than queen size, whatever it is. And I don't foresee anyone needing or wanting that. So I'm just going to break it down and take it to the lumberyard, let them have it. That's what's been going on. Can you see me getting stronger? Every call, every unsurmountable object that I either jump over or go around. Yes, I definitely am. So to sum it all up, I think I touched on all the things that I like to share with you with this. Outside of one last thing, I'll look at the video, the one that has, Nairobi smoky sunset at, really red and beautiful. And I find another picture of California sunset, and I put them together, and I put me in the middle with this hat. And someone says, Lamar, hey, Lamar, he says, the hat is bomb. Keep the hat. So I got the hat back on for y'all. That's what happened here, because I know I'm going to talk about this part. And he says, keep the hat. I'm knowing what's going on with your channel. It's cool. So I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm going, I see a 2. So I'm going, maybe it's 200. But then I see a K behind it. So I say, K? How the fuck? The channel literally has at this point, over 4,000 views. 200, almost 400 is creeping to the point, that I'm going to be monetized within the next couple of weeks. So I get extremely excited, man. The only thing that stopped me from a tear from coming down is I was too damn happy, right? So then I said, I got to talk to somebody. I got to figure out how to replicate this shit, because I don't know what happened, what I did, but I know I got to figure it out quick. At least I know that much about YouTube. You got to figure it out quick, so you can give another offering based on what you did, right? So what did I do? So I called up the guy. I said, listen, man, Adrian Petrus, shout out to you again in Holman. I got to talk to Holman for 3 seconds. Before I didn't need to talk to him. I didn't want to talk to him. But now I need to say, hey, man, what am I doing here? And what am I supposed to do next? Because I need to capitalize on this. And obviously, if I'm getting traction and I'm working with him, he gets traction. So it all makes sense. Guess what Adrian said? The golden child, I've dubbed him. He said, Andrew Tate, yes. Pearly Things. And he named off a few popular YouTube channels. He said, I'm the guy behind the scenes that have been working with them. Let go and let God.